It was kind of scary there for a minute. You know, after the hurricane, everything passed over. It wasn't that bad till the levees broke. When the levees broke, we started taking on water pretty fast. I was living up. We was posted upstairs and over police headquarters on the second floor, and so some of the soldiers came in and said we was taking on water in the gym. So I didn't have any idea why we was taking water that fast after the hurricane had passed over. And then after it covered the gym, and we looked at the steps, it started coming up to the first step. And at that time, we started making marks on the wall. And the marks that we was making on the wall started going underwater so fast. Then we started timing the marks, and that's when we realized we was really having a serious problem. Then, so we was in within roughly about an hour or so, we was in maybe about 22 feet of water. So we had to be evacuated by large boats, and we came out to, they brought us to this building where I am right here. And so as you can see some of the marks on the wall here where those boats docked at. So when we got out of the boat to come into this building, we was in water about waist deep here to get into this building. So that's where we've been housed at ever since that time. You know, considering that we're still alive, we have a lot to be thankful for, but other than that, that's the place we call home, and we intend to rebuild it back to our home again.
Probably it was about 2 hours later when the winds got down to about 50, 60 miles an hour. We made a conscious effort here in the Jock that it was safe enough for us to get out into the local public and start looking for people to rescue. And we went and freed up the rest of the boats. We turned everybody loose. The smaller boats didn't get out yet. We had a lot of 14, 16-foot flat boats. We probably held on to those for another hour till the winds got down below 40. But we pulled out right on the St. Claude there, and I can tell you we didn't have to go very far to find people there. It was amazing how many people were up on their balconies and on top of the rooftops. I had General Vailon running one of the boats right next to me, and as soon as we pulled out to that first complex up here on the right, there were people standing up on the balcony. We pulled up and loaded them up. A lot of elderly people, obviously very scared, glad to see us. And, a lot of it was very tragic. The first house we pulled up to, they talked about an elderly man in the apartment right next door, and the water was well up onto the second floor. So if he was in there, he didn't get out. And we were taking them down, some of them back to Jackson Barracks here. We were taking them to the different shelters. The second house I pulled up to, I passed. It's an interesting story because this is what I wound up doing the rest of the day. Up on the roof, I saw a long stick poking out of one of the roof vents. And saw it wiggling around, and I wasn't sure if it was somebody wiggling it or it was in the wind. And, the water's up onto the rooftop, so I pulled the boat over, and, I had 4 or 5 people I had loaded from that one in the boat, and pulled up on the roof and kicked the roof vent off, and there's a whole family down in the roof, water well up into the rafters. And luckily the boat had an axe in it. Wildlife and Fisheries had pre-positioned some paddles and axes, so it cut a hole into the roof, and we lifted them all out and drug them down to the shelter.
And he said, there's people in there. We couldn't hear anyone, but he kept saying, yeah, there's people in there. They're right there. Well, we didn't have any tools. So I went and got the boat anchor, basically a couple of them. They were heavy, steel, strong. And me and the other guy from the other boat started ripping off the shingles in this one area and basically beat a hole through the roof and through the ceiling inside the roof. And to try to find these people. We still didn't hear anyone, but we're going to try to see what we can do. We'd yell down on the roof, didn't hear anything. They told us, no, further down, by this other vent. So we're constantly yelling and screaming, still didn't hear anyone. So we punched another hole in, a little bit further down, and that time we did hear someone, but we ended up punching a hole into a closet. Well, to give you an idea, when the water's that high in the house, when you go into a closet, there's no doorway. It's just a little square full of water, like looking into an ice chest. So I was like, well, this is not going to do, because we can't ask them to go underwater, hold your breath, to try to find this closet. So we moved again, beat another hole. Well, we finally found them, and it seemed like, I guess they were in the kitchen. And it was 5 people. It was 3 adults and 2 children, I guess ages one was 2, maybe the other one was 3 or 4, and they were floating on a refrigerator inside this room, and that's why I guess it's the kitchen. And they probably had this much airspace between the ceiling and the water line. So it was pretty rough.